This morning, I have the opportunity to talk to the Democratic candidate for New York State Assembly, Gina Silletti. She's running for the 16th district, and she's here to tell us a little bit about herself. Good morning, and
Oh, good morning. So happy to
thank
be here.
I'm so happy you could join us on From the Source. Um, Gina, I know that you've been working in government, but a lot of people don't know who you are. So could you take a few minutes out to, tell us about you and your background?
Sure, happy to. So, won't go into every, little detail, but, I think it's important for people to understand where I come from, maybe a little bit of my background.
Mhm.
So, born and raised on Long Island. I grew up out east. My father was an auto mechanic. He owned his own business, Sunoco and Hauppauge off of exit 56. And my mom was a stay at home mom. And my father passed away when I was young. And me and my mom, we left New York to start fresh. My siblings were a bit older than me. Don't tell them I said that. And so it's just me and mom. And, we wanted to start fresh, starting, new life together. So we moved to Florida and stayed there for a few years, and then made our way a little bit further north to Georgia, where I went to the University of Georgia. Graduated in 2000 with a political science degree.
Oh,
And we moved back to New York in 2001, in July of 2001,
wow.
and got my start later that year in 2001. Nearly, 2 decades of doing, government, politics, community service work. One of my earliest jobs was actually working at the Nassau County Legislature. It was interesting because, it's funny to look back now with how polarized we are in our society, but we were, Democratic office. But we represented a very, very Republican area. It was places like Levittown and Massapequa and Farmingdale, not Democratic bastions, so to speak, right? But, we kept getting reelected. And we got reelected because we were serving the people. It was about constituent work, it was about getting results for the people that you served. And I'll never forget that. Eventually we did lose. But I was so grateful to be able to end up at the town of North Hempstead. I was at the town of North Hempstead. I started in the Department of Community Services as the deputy commissioner there. Now, if anybody watching this has ever been to Fun Day Monday down at Bar Beach, or parents brought their kids to Kidstock, or the Asian American Festival, or the senior dances, or any of the community cleanups, that was all community services. We refer to ourselves as the Department of Fun because, man, it was the best job. Dancing with seniors and hanging out with the kiddos. What's better than that? One of the things I am really proud of at the Department of Community Services was starting what I mentioned before, the Asian American Festival, a brand new event at the time. It's 10 years going now, I think. Obviously, it didn't happen this year, but that was my baby. I actually still have a sign hanging up in my house here for the Asian American Festival. I was so proud of that event. It was, to reflect the growing diversity in our town. And it was, the more we understand someone's culture, the better our community is, right? And so there was food. I mean, who doesn't love food? Music, vendors where you can go shopping. It was on the beach. It was a beautiful event. And there was an Asian American Festival committee who I worked with who put it all together, and I couldn't be more proud. From there, I went over to the supervisor's office directly, who at the time was John Kamen. I was his deputy chief of staff and also director of legislative affairs. I loved working for John, and I loved that role. I really got a handle on all the various aspects of of government. I was on the job sites. I was, working with all the different departments. I was really, a liaison, meeting with community members. We went to DC and lobbied for the residents of the town of North Hempstead to get, grants and money for our town. Ironically, also went to Albany, laugh about that now, to, get money for the district and, delivering for them. And so it was a great job. And then Supervisor Bosworth came in, who we love and adore. She's wonderful. And I was so fortunate to be able to work with her as well, doing back to my roots, I guess, of doing events and a lot of the, public projects and public events for the town that involved the community. And one of those projects was the 9/11 Memorial Committee that I was so proud and honored to be a part of. I put together folks from the community, family members that lost loved ones on that horrific day, FDNY, family of Jonathan Ielpi, a local architect, volunteer firemen. And it was, obviously the town has a yearly 9/11 ceremony that's so important, but also prior to Supervisor Bosworth, John Kamen's administration was able to secure a piece of steel. And I was also honored to go with the team to pick it up. It was at the hangar in JFK. What a somber, sobering place that was. But we acquired this piece of steel from the Twin Towers and brought it back to Long Island, to the town. And the committee was, discussed locations and what to do with that piece and just, to remember. And that was the goal of that. And so again, so honored to be a part of it. I eventually left the town. I was recruited over to the Nassau County Board of Elections. There was a new commissioner coming in. There was a bunch of folks retiring, and he was looking to professionalize the agency and create a new HR department and compliance. And he asked me to come on board. And, I was looking forward to the challenge of it. I had never done it before. And so I accepted. And here I am today at the Nassau County Board of Elections. And, I didn't think I would love doing HR work as much as I did, but I think it's not so much the HR work, it's the people. You really get to know the folks that you work with, and they trust me, and they become family. And I'm so fortunate, to have that, and fortunate to have that position. So that's the short version of Gina's life, my years on this earth. But I'm excited for this next opportunity and to bring the years of government service and community service, hopefully, to Albany.
Well, it sounds like you have the pulse of the community at your fingertips, and you're a real people person. But I have to ask you, because right now with the current election,
Yeah.
your job is probably so key. Can you tell me how it's changed? I know you've only been there for a little bit,
Yeah.
but this upcoming election is obviously something of critical importance to the United States.
Absolutely.
Just here, but in Nassau County, I know that voters are concerned. So, can you talk a
Sure.
little bit about that?
Sure. So, I can tell you about the June primary, which is similar to what's happening now. I'm not involved, obviously, with any of the stuff going on now. I'm, strictly HR, but in June, it was all hands on deck. They didn't care if you did HR, you were going to learn how to enter absentee ballot requests. And, it was really right in the middle of the pandemic. While a lot of folks were home, the Board of Elections never closed. They were obviously there was a smaller crew and reduced hours, but man, that switch flipped really fast, and especially with the governor's executive order, where each Board of Elections had to mail a application to every eligible voter in that particular primary with the return stamp and the whole thing. And, we went from working from home skeleton crew to, 7 days a week, 12-hour work days in order to get it done. And one thing I would love folks to know about the process, because, there are concerns and I get it, but there shouldn't be, especially in Nassau County. At least that's what I know about, and New York for that matter. We have the Board of Elections by law is bipartisan. For every job, there is one Democrat and one Republican. And for the absentee ballot process, an application will come in. It will be reviewed by either a Democrat or a Republican and entered into the system. And then it'll go into a bin. Then it'll be checked by the counterpart, either a Republican or a Democrat, depending on, who did it first. And they'll check the work and make sure it was done correctly and accurately. And it's these checks and balances that should make people feel, I hope, at ease. We all check our work. There's literally no shenanigans. It's very professional. I've never seen a group of people work harder than the people at the Nassau County Board of Elections. They're incredible.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
I know that there's a lot of questions, so I'm sure
there is. And we're lucky in New York. We just got early voting. It started last year in 2019. It was something that had been kind of stalled for a while, but we do have a new Democratic New York State Senate, and so a lot of those changes in voting happened last year, and the early voting is great. I mean, it's especially this year. So many people are going to want to vote, and it's good to have that other option. So there's 9 days of early voting, and it starts on October 24th. And the closest there's several actually in our area. Well, not several. There's 3 in our area. There's Nassau County Board of Elections, which is in Mineola, which is the southern part of the town of North Hempstead. There is, for the 16th Assembly District, folks, the closest would be in Roslyn at the Gale Community Center. It is right by the Roslyn train station, that street that's across from Roslyn High School. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's right in there. The information about the times and all that stuff is, you can, of course, visit my website at ginafораssembly.com or nassauvotes.com, which has all the information about early voting, absentee, where your polling location is, you name it, it's there.
That's great. That's great. So tell me why you, in this current environment, which is rough with the pandemic and high unemployment and et cetera, why do you want to run for New York State Assembly?
It's funny. It all happened very, very quickly. In February, so we're going pre-pandemic, Tony Durso, who we all love, announced his retirement. And it was, a couple of weeks before our party's convention. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard it, I was like, oh, good for him, but we're going to miss him. He's so nice. And then I thought of his wife, Maria, and, he gets to spend more time with her and her fabulous cooking. And then I was like, oh, I wonder who, replace him, because of course I didn't, I never think of myself. And then I was like, could I take, what I've learned in my years of government and, the people that I've met, and go from, the elected officials I've worked for, take it behind the scenes to, in front of the scenes?
Right.
Yes. Heck yes. So yeah, there was a screening process. There was, a lot of folks who were interested, and I was so grateful, to have been chosen. And then, and then we had our convention, and then petitioning started. For folks who don't know, by the way, what petitioning is, in New York State, anybody who wants to be on the ballot has to get signatures, knock on doors, get signatures. Even President of the United States has to get signatures to be on the ballot in New York. So it goes from President of the United States all the way down to, trustee of the villages. And that's how it works. So if somebody knocks on your door with a clipboard and says, can you sign this? That's what that is for. So yeah, I mean, I hit the ground running. I was knocking on doors, every night. I was very excited about it. And then all of a sudden everything came to a screeching halt. And, I laugh now. I still do. I want to be an elected official that everybody knows. You see me in Stop and Shop, you see me, wherever, and be like, oh, there's Gina. I know her. She helped me with, whatever issue they had. It's very important for me, for people to, I said at the time, I want everybody to know my face. I want them to know my face and know that, I'm a person that they can count on. And so now the joke is, they're going to know like this. And then, of course, my big poof of Italian hair, which is okay, we have to be obviously safe. But that's still important to me. And in these trying times, I want to be that person. And I want to be transparent and accessible, not only as an elected official, but during this campaign. I want everybody to know about me and know who I am. And, I mentioned my website before, as a sort of a shameless plug, but at the same time, that's the best way to reach out to me. There's a place to contact me. It has a telephone number. There's a way to message me through the website, ginaforassembly.com. And I want to hear from folks. And I don't want to hear from just people who support me. If I have the honor of being elected to this position, I'm not going to just be the elected official for people who voted for me. Right. So I want to hear from everyone. And I think that's the best way to serve, when you are representative for all the people.
Absolutely. Well, during these trying times, how has it impacted your ability to go out in areas to campaign, basically?
Absolutely. So I have been very, these years of, being in the community and getting to know a lot of these folks, I've turned to them during this time. And, Zoom, for, all its faults, has been a godsend. Some people have Zoom fatigue, but you know what though? I am meeting people that I've, would never have met or wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet. And I think people are, and I can do more of them, right? So there's no driving involved. There's, I can hop from thing to thing and also spend more time with my family. I mean, I'm able to cook dinner, do a Zoom, cook dinner, hop back on. And it's been fantastic. And, so I'm relying on a lot of these folks and they've been wonderful, helping me meet up with their networks. And then it goes like a tree, right? Yeah. Somebody meets and they're like, oh, I wanted to introduce you to, my friend. And, my mother-in-law was right out the gate, wanted to, got all of her, recruited her friends and they were doing Zooms and, and that's how it is. It's a family affair, right? Mm-hmm. So, that's how I've kind of navigated this, campaigning in a pandemic. And then of course there's going to be signs. You're going to see those around. I have some mail going out, some digital, the usual things that, you do during a campaign.
Yeah. Talk to me about the mail, actually, because
sure.
I know we briefly chatted the other day and you were just overwhelmingly surprised how quickly
yes,
mail arrived
yes.
for one of your drops.
Yes, so, I couldn't believe it. So we did a test run the week before just to kind of see how long it took, and it took a few days. I was like, all right, nothing crazy. Maybe it was like 4. Well, this week I dropped a piece. It was printed, dropped on Tuesday, and hit the doors on Wednesday. I couldn't believe it. And it was local. It was a local printer that I chose, and it was, and so he dropped it locally, which helped, right? So I didn't have some out-of-state person doing it. I had a local vendor, and so that made all the difference. And so it was great. Now, that being said, we're things are a little quiet now as far as political mail in the post office. I'm curious if that, same will hold true in October. Now, folks are concerned about, you mentioned before about the ballots and the mail-in, mailing ballots in. Well, the Board of Elections has, in addition to early voting, which, by the way, is very, very safe. I actually worked in 2019. I mean, I know it's pre-pandemic at a polling location, but the same held true for June. There are, in addition to the poll workers that you come to know and love at your polling location, there's also Board of Elections employees there. And they're on site the entire time, making sure everything runs smoothly. There's PPE, there's face shields, you have your own pen, all the things to make people feel safe. There's masks if you don't have one. Obviously, everybody has one at this point. And so early voting is great. And there's so many hours. And, over the course of 9 days, you can find a time that works for you. But as far as the ballots, there are a ton of people that have chosen to go that route, which is great. You want to be safe, and that's wonderful. It's been mailed out early, the earliest it's ever been mailed out.
Okay.
And which was this week. My understanding was it started on Monday over the course of a few days because there were so many. So it should be hitting folks' mailbox this week. And you get it, fill it out, send it in, stamp it, sign it. Don't forget to sign it. Can't tell you how many times ballots come back not signed. Please don't forget to sign.
Very important.
Put the ballot, fill it out completely from one end to the other. That's another thing. There is a significant drop-off from President of the United States down ballot. I am very, very, very much there's a big drop-off, as I mentioned, from President of the United States all the way to the end. I am row A, but column 19. And so people vote for president. They're like, all right, I'm done. I've done my duty. But there's the judges, which are very important. And then there's Congress, then state Senate, and then me. So it's important to go all the way down the row. And then once you've filled it out, you fold it back and you put it in the oath envelope, which is the inner envelope. You sign it, date it, and then take that envelope and put it in the outer envelope to be mailed. And if you don't, you will get a notification from the Board of Elections telling you how to rectify your error. Okay. Wow. But it can't be counted until, those things are rectified. It must be signed and it must be dated. So don't forget to do that.
Okay. That's definitely a message that will come across. So with these, the current situation that's out there,
sure.
A lot of people are getting very frustrated for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
There is a lot of violence occurring.
Yeah.
No matter whether it's for Black Lives Matter or even now there's a mask, anti-mask, how do you see, handling these things?
So, I mean, first of all, I'll talk to the mask and, people are afraid to go out and there's, isolation and you feel very alone. We've worked really hard as New Yorkers to get where we are. I mean, think about what it was in March. I mean, everybody was terrified. I was terrified. I have asthma. I didn't want to leave the house. And, but, we worked hard, we were New York tough, as the governor says, right? And we wore our masks and we did what we needed to do. And we're washing our hands and we're socially distancing. And we are, I say were, but we are, continuing to do those things, wearing our masks. It's go outside, enjoy the fresh air, while we still have it, right? The warm weather, the parks, I was thinking of all the creative ways our government has kind of weathered this storm, especially for like small businesses. Port Washington, our chambers of commerce, first of all, shout out to them. They really, on social media and on their websites, were doing their darndest to promote shopping local. Um, the list of restaurants that were still open, they were blasting that out there. And, me and my husband, we did a lot of cooking at home, obviously, but we made a point that, yeah, we were eating more in the house than we ever had in a really long time. But we made a point that we went out and we got takeout and continued to support our favorite restaurants in town. And I know a lot of folks did that as well. But I mean, really shout out to the Chambers of Commerce for everything that they did. And then going to the municipalities, the tents that you see everywhere, those were permits, right? Those were, the town of North Hempstead had to get involved, and they really, helped and expedited, all those things. And my favorite thing to come out of this whole, mess was the port outdoors and shopping on Main Street, which had its last one last night. Everybody's super disappointed, and they wanted to keep going, and I wanted to keep going. It was so much fun. People from all over came. It wasn't just Port Washington folks. And
well, you guys add a little music to it.
Oh, it was yeah. It was. Somebody got me on video. I was like, doing this, next to the band, and but it was awesome. The kids riding around. You had the fire department was there, which I loved. The kids were able to go in the truck, and my heart is near and dear with our local fire departments.
Yeah.
My husband was a volunteer fireman in Manhasset Lakeville. But it was great. It was a great community event, and just awesome. So more things like that, just put people in a good mood. And it was safe, and social distancing and the whole thing, and everybody's wearing their masks and doing everything we were supposed to do. But we were out there. We were out seeing our friends and neighbors. I mean, I was seeing people I hadn't seen in months, and I was so excited. I want to hug everybody, but of course you can't, but Italian, I'm like, give me a hug. And it was wonderful. And so more of that. I want to see more of that. Talking about, on the unrest we see in our country, I don't understand how we got here where social justice and racial equality has been politicized. Like, if you are, supportive of those efforts, somehow, you're anti something else, or if you're, pro police officer, somehow you're anti racial equality. I mean, how can it be? Why are we not both? Why do we not want both those things? My nephew is a police officer, and so obviously I'm supportive, but I'm also supportive of the movement. And my goal is always to listen to everyone and to bring people together. And what I would love to see is, I don't think we can have real meaningful change until we start sitting down and talking to each other again. Whether it's locally or nationally. I mean, I can only control what happens locally, but we love we love our community. We want our communities to be safe, but we have to have everybody come to the table and really talk so we can affect real change.
Well, it sounds like you have a platform to start.
Liz, I have a lot of things to say.
Well,
but
I'm thrilled that you're running for office. I
thank
think
you so
that
much.
you really have your pulse on the community and what is going on. Is there anything that you actually want to affect when you get into office?
Oh, sure. I mean, well, first and foremost, I mean, we're going to have a big job ahead of us next year. And, I truly believe that my years in working in the community, working in government, understanding how to navigate all the different layers. I mean, think about it this way. North Hempstead has alone 31 villages. There are so many different layers of, I think in the 16th alone, there's like 24 villages. And then we have, the county government, and then we have our different legislators. And don't forget the council districts in the town of North Hempstead and the special districts. And I've worked with them. I know how to navigate all of it. And I think it's, next year we got to hit the ground running. Elected officials are doing that now, but even, more so next year. I don't need on the job training, so to speak, right? So, I'm looking forward to getting to work to deliver for the 16th Assembly District. And, I hope I have the honor of being elected this November and beginning what I hope to be a long career in the Assembly.
Well, I know that you will be part of government, and I wish you the best in this. And I thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I hope that we can speak again after
Oh,
the
anytime, I'm
election.
in.